In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to part 6 of my Hajj, a step-by-step guide to Hajj and Umrah. My name is Saad from the Wahi Project, and I'm joined by Ismail Davids from Admit Inspirations, and we're honored to continue our journey with you exploring Hajj and Umrah. So far, we've covered an introduction with basic definitions in part 1, a step-by-step overview of Hajj in part 2, a checklist of things to do before you depart in part 3, a detailed look at Haram in part 4, and the journey from home to Makkah in part 5. Now in this part 6, we'll get acquainted with Makkah, the home of Masjid al-Haram and the Kaaba. Mecca, Bakka, Al-Balad, Al-Qariya, Al-Qura are all names for Makkah, or as it's officially known, Makkah al-Mukarramah, Makkah the Honored. Makkah is a city located approximately 70 kilometers inland from Jeddah, in a narrow valley at the base of the Hijaz Mountains. But the city is best known for being the home of the first house of worship. The Quran actually describes this in Surah Al-Imran. A translation of this verse is, "Verily, the first house of worship appointed for mankind was that at Bakka, Makkah, full of blessings and a guidance for Al-Alameen, the mankind and the jinn. In it are manifest signs, for example, the Maqam, place of Ibrahim. Whosoever enters it, he attains security." So without further ado, let's get acquainted with this amazing city. The majority of pilgrims will arrive into Makkah via 2 major routes. First, if you're coming from Jeddah, you'll come in from the west. Or if you're coming from Medina, you'll travel in from the north. Makkah has a specially designated border around it, currently being drawn on the screen, and the area within it is known as the Haram of Makkah. Flags have been put on the mountains and hills to indicate the limits of the Haram. It's reported in some references the number of flags reached 943 at some point, but most of them were ruined. New flags have been added by recent committees to reach a reported total of about 1,104 flags. The Haram of Makkah is a sanctified area, meaning it is a holy area which has a number of restrictions for all who enter, irrespective of whether in Ihram or not. The entry to the Haram of Makkah is marked by special gates over the highways, similar to the one shown on the screen right now. So when you drive through this, you will know that you're entering the Haram of Makkah. Now that you've entered the Haram boundaries, the city of Makkah is not far. Before you know it, you'll be there. Whether you arrive in the day or night, this is a city that truly never sleeps for the right reasons. Once the pilgrim enters Makkah, the first duty is to perform Umrah, in the Tamattu method of Hajj. Now most pilgrims are very anxious to complete their Umrah. However, before you go rushing off to the Masjid al-Haram, first settle yourself into your accommodation. Have something to eat or drink if you're hungry or thirsty, and have a rest if you're tired. Keep track of the time. It's not a good idea to perform tawaf when it's very hot. If you're not used to the extreme heat, as is the case in the middle of summer, delay your Umrah until later in the day when the weather is a lot cooler. Do not be brave. There's no rush. You will need your strength and energy later. Before you leave to go to Masjid al-Haram, ensure that you're familiar with your surroundings and that you know how to get back to your accommodation. Use certain landmarks as a means of direction and locations. As in any hotel, check and familiarize yourself with the emergency exits. Take an address card of the hotel with you and keep it in your pocket in addition to your identity card. If you do not have your Hajj card at this stage, keep some other form of identity with you, for example, a driver's license, medical card, etc. Before discussing the Umrah in detail, there are many other aspects related to Makkah which we need to address first. Finally, the time has arrived. You are rested and refreshed. You venture out of your hotel with hope and anticipation in your heart. Before you know, you're standing here outside the Al-Masjid al-Haram, the home of the Kaaba. Take a moment to take it all in. Your journey is just about to start. Now, moving forward to avoid any confusion, whenever we say Haram, we'll be referring to Masjid al-Haram and not the Haram of Makkah. Before continuing, let's have a closer look at the Haram and identify some of the critical parts, as you'll need to know these to complete your Umrah and Hajj rites. Here is the Masjid al-Haram. The Kaaba is in the center, whilst the hills of Safa and Marwa are undercover to the right. There are a number of doors leading into the masjid, all with their own name and number. A select few of the major doors are being shown on the screen now. It's a good idea to memorize a particular gate and number and use it as a meeting point in case you get lost. Also note, contrary to popular belief, there is no specific door that must be used to enter or exit the Haram. You're free to enter or exit via any door. This red section on the diagram is the new expansion project which is currently under construction. Actually, the entire Haram is currently being expanded, so it will be slightly different to the image displayed. So take your time to get acquainted and get your bearings. Here's an actual photo of the Haram. Though it's a slightly older one, it's just so beautifully clear that we decided to continue using it. You can see the Kaaba in the center. Here's the black stone corner of the Kaaba, which is also referred to as Hajj al-Aswad. This is where Tawaf starts and ends. Here is the Yemenite corner of the Kaaba, also referred to as Rukn Yemeni or the south corner. This is the hill of Safa, where Sa'i starts. This is the hill of Marwa, where Sa'i ends. This is a temporary mataf that enabled worshippers to continue tawaf around the Kaaba at an elevated level, while the upper level of the masjid was under construction. The top level of the masjid has now been completed, so the temporary mataf has been removed. This area is where the expansion project is being constructed. This is a gate over here, and this is also another gate over here. Here is an alternate view inside the Masjid al-Haram. As you can see, there's no temporary mataf here. This is the black stone corner, Hajj al-Aswad. Here's the Yemenite corner. This is the door of the Kaaba. This is Maqam Ibrahim. Safa is in this direction. Marwa is in this direction. Zamzam, the original well, used to be in this direction, but is now closed off to the public. Two famous hotels, Abraj al-Bayt and Abraj Makkah, the Hilton, are also shown in the picture. Let's now have a closer look at the Kaaba. This is the Blackstone Corner, or Hajr al-Aswad. This is the Multazam, which is the area between the Blackstone Corner and the door of the Kaaba. This is Maqam Ibrahim. This is the Hijr area, which is actually considered to be a part of the Kaaba or inside the Kaaba. There's a water spout just off the screen behind the Kaaba in the drawing. This is the Kiswa, which is the covering of the Kaaba. And this is the Yemenite corner, or Rukni Yemni. If we rotate the Kaaba around, it gives us a better view of the hidden side in the previous slide. This is the water spout, and again, this is the Hijr area.
Just a little bit more detail about the Kaaba. As people get confused, you'll find them hanging off all over the place and rubbing different places of the Kaaba. Basically, there are only three places you should touch: the Hajj al-Aswad, Rukn Yamani, and the Multazam, if at all possible. Some history of the black stone, the Hajj al-Aswad. When the Kaaba was rebuilt in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, this stone was put in the corner of the Kaaba by the Prophet ﷺ and some of his companions. And the Prophet ﷺ narrated that the black stone was originally from Jannah. It was white, and it is now black due to the sins of the people. If you look to the right picture with the green circle, there are 8 small pieces in there. The black stone was taken away and damaged, and when it was brought and put back into the Kaaba, these are the only 8 pieces that survived. So the entire, when you look at the picture, it looks like the entire piece is the black stone, but there's only 8 small pieces left inside there of the original stone. It is a sunnah in the tawaf to kiss the stone at the beginning of the tawaf and at every round of the tawaf when you pass the black stone. Now, why do we kiss the stone? Let's look at what Umar said. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu reported that Umar radiallahu anhu kissed the stone and said, I am kissing you, whereas I know that you are a stone, but I saw Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam kissing you, that is why I kiss you. Now let us look at the Maqam Ibrahim. Imagine this journey, brothers and sisters. Think you are actually feeling, seeing and touching things that's mentioned in the Quran. Allah mentions about the Maqam Ibrahim in the Quran and saying this is a sign from Allah. So the Maqam Ibrahim, the station of Ibrahim, is basically the scaffolding of when Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail alayhi salam, when they built the Kaaba. And the footprints of Ibrahim is inside this particular brass structure that's there currently in Makkah. Now people question, are these the real footprints? Are they not the real footprints? It doesn't really matter. Allah says this is a sign and a station of Ibrahim. Also the exact location is not the place where it originally was. There was floods and it moved at different times. But this is where Allah willed it for it to be today. We are now at the Multazam. This is the area from the door of the Kaaba and the Hajj al-Aswad. This is the area where the companions of the Prophet ﷺ used to hang on, and you'll see many pilgrims do that today, where they hang on there and making dua, supplicating, crying, beseeching Allah for forgiveness. The Prophet ﷺ himself never did that, but he did not stop his companions from doing that. And in the Sunnah, when the Prophet ﷺ saw something and he did not stop them, that means it's allowed. Next is the mountain of Safa. Why do we begin at Safa? As the Prophet ﷺ said, I begin with what Allah begins. In the ayah, Allah begins with Inna Safa wal Marwa. So Safa is the mountain where the wife of Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ, Hajar, when he left them in the desert in Makkah, and she was looking for water for her son Ismail, she climbed the mountain of Safa to look if she can see anybody. Then from there she walked and ran towards Marwa. In the early days we could climb up the mountain of Safa, but people were sitting on there and climbing up there and messing up the place. So now you're unable to climb or touch the mountain because they've closed it off. But this is where we start Sa'i from this area where we make our Sa'i. We start at the mountain of Safa and then we walk towards Marwa. From Safa to Marwa, Marwa is the mountain on the other side where Hajar alayhi salam ran between Safa and Marwa. With the expansion, there are many different levels now to perform Sa'i, and also there's different sides. There's side to go up and side to go down. And in the middle and all the levels, there are places for wheelchairs. Brothers and sisters, it's encouraged for you to stay within the boundaries of each area so not to congest and cause problems for the pilgrims trying to make Sa'i. There's also a green lit area and it's highlighted onto different floors in different ways. In this green lit area, the men run to reenact the action of Hajar where she ran between the mountains. The sisters ordinarily don't run, they just walk at a normal pace.
This brings us to the end of part 6. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it and we look forward to seeing you in part 7. Remember to visit our websites, which may have additional resources accompanying this presentation. All praise is due to Allah, our Creator and Sustainer, Lord of the worlds.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك